It's estimated that by 2030, colorectal cancer will be the leading cause of cancer death in people under 50. Back in 2019, I interviewed Pat Bogard, a local Marine who at 29 was diagnosed with stage 4 colon cancer. He fought the disease valiantly with courage, determination, and an urgent message for other young people to get screened. Sadly, Pat passed away 3 years later at the age of 32. Recently, I sat down with his dad, Dr. George Beauregard of Medfield, who published a book on what Pat and his family endured. Let's start with the title of the book, Reservations for 9, A Doctor's Family Confronts Cancer. How'd that come about?
So while Patrick was undergoing treatment, my daughter was in college at the time, and in a creative writing course, wrote an essay called Reservations for 9. And in that essay, she described what our family was experiencing at the time. And it was a very powerful and heart-moving essay. And when I read it, I thought, if there is going to be a book, needs to be the title of the book.
You and I talked about this project when it was in manuscript form. You ultimately completed the book. Tell us why you wrote it.
I felt that there was an opportunity to, number one, tell his story and how he conducted himself, and then raise awareness about the global threat of early onset cancer.
You had an interesting viewpoint, I think, because you, as Pat was going through his trials there, you were a father, you were also a doctor, and you were able to beat bladder cancer. So on some levels, that had to be real difficult for you.
First and foremost, I had to be Patrick's father and offer emotional support, offer the experience that I had during my own cancer journey, which I knew would be different, his would be different, but at least I could support him in that way. And then my secondary role, I felt I could be a physician advisor.
Now, when Patrick passed, those weeks leading up to that, he was still advocating for people to go out and get colonoscopies, to try and beat this, get it before it gets you, if you will. You're taking up that challenge now, and you're finishing the job for him, are you not?
Yes. Well, I was very inspired, as were many others, by Patrick's advocacy during a time when his own life was under siege. And so I strongly feel that I have to continue the message that he carries. And again, it's such a critical health issue, and particularly for millennials and Gen Xers who seem to be at particular risk.
I was going to say, give us some of those stats, because the people that we're talking about, these young people, and what they face today in terms of what statistically can be a very challenging time for them.
Well, the genetic risk still holds true in about 15% of all cases of colorectal cancer. This early onset cancer, though, there's a steep rise in people born in their 1980s and 1990s. So they're particularly at risk, especially if they have certain lifestyle characteristics.
What do you think contributes to that?
Well, a number of different things are being investigated. In no particular order, people with diets that are high in ultra-processed foods. Changes in the environment, microplastics. You hear a lot about that lately. You hear about sedentary lifestyles, obesity, smoking, alcohol, and your own microorganisms in the gut play a protective and a pathogenic role in colorectal cancer in particular.
What needs to be done to turn this thing around?
Well, I think that we're probably at a point where people who are eligible to be screened by the current guidelines really need to be screened. And I think that's a message that's hard to get people to act on. About 60% of people get the screening that's advised for their age group. So getting that done first and foremost, but then people younger than that age have to be more diligent about their symptoms and not be complacent about some common signs that might be heralding the onset of colorectal cancer.
I was going to say, sometimes a doctor may say, oh, don't worry about it, it's probably this or that. I'm not indicting doctors by any means, but it is a time for someone with this type of cancer to be very good at not becoming complacent and challenge sometimes and push back and say, no, I know I don't feel right. I want more testing.
Absolutely, Mark. I think if your complaints get dismissed because you're viewed as being young and healthy, so this is nothing to worry about, you need to push for further testing.
What do you want the book to do as far as takeaways for people when they read it?
Well, number one, I want to solidify my son's legacy in the hearts and minds of many people. How he handled himself under extraordinary circumstances was quite remarkable, and he fought till the very end. And the second purpose is to raise awareness of this early onset cancer phenomenon, and for people younger than the screening ages, pay real attention to your body, and also take a step back and think about your lifestyle, what you eat, how active you are, do you have some habits, smoking, things like that, that you really need to think about changing.
I'm familiar with it, as you know. My brother, 21 years ago, died of colorectal cancer, diagnosed at 39, and passed away at 46. So it's something that affects a lot of people. Cancer touches a lot of people. We so appreciate your time, your insight, and sharing your son's story and your family story here, because the family goes through this together.
Yes, Mark, thank you very much.
A lot has continued to happen since Pat passed away. His brother Brendan ran the Boston Marathon to raise money in the fight against cancer. And this past weekend, a team of riders rode in the Pan Mass Challenge. Pat's spirit continues to be alive and well.